Take a slow, easy breath in and let it fall out again, unhurried. Allow your shoulders to soften. Let your jaw loosen. Let the day quietly step back as if it's dimming a lantern and closing a wooden door behind itself. Feel the surface beneath you, steady, supportive, unmoving. You don't need to do anything now. You don't need to go anywhere. You are safe to simply listen. There is a coolness in the air tonight, gentle and clean, like stone that has rested in moonlight for centuries. Somewhere far off, leaves whisper to one another. Somewhere closer, a faint hearth crackles, then sighs. And when you're ready, our story today begins high above a sleeping medieval town. Our story today begins in a bell tower made of pale gray stone, its blocks worn smooth by wind, rain, and the passing of countless years. The tower rises slowly from the heart of a monastery, stretching upward like a patient finger pointing toward the stars. Inside, the air is cool and still. Dust motes drift lazily, glowing for a moment whenever moonlight slips through narrow arched windows. At the very top of the tower stands a man wrapped in a simple wool cloak. His name is Elias, and he is the bell ringer. Elias is not in a hurry. He never is. He moves with the quiet certainty of someone who has learned to listen, to stone, to sky, to silence itself. His footsteps barely make a sound as he crosses the wooden floor, polished smooth by generations of careful feet. Above him, the bells hang in shadow. They are enormous and calm, like sleeping giants. Each one bears faint carvings, crosses, dates, small imperfections left by medieval hands that poured molten bronze centuries ago. Elias rests his palm against the rope of the largest bell. The fibers are rough but familiar, warmed slightly by the day that has now fully faded. He does not pull yet. Instead, he looks upward. Through the open slits in the tower walls, the night sky stretches wide and endless. Stars are scattered across it, not rushed, not crowded, just quietly present. Elias knows them well. Before clocks ticked and chimed as they do now, before gears and springs measured time in tidy increments, monasteries like this one relied on the sky. The monks followed the ancient rhythm of canonical hours, prayer times marked not by numbers, but by light, darkness, and the slow turning of the heavens. Elias traces familiar star paths with his eyes. There, just above the edge of the tower window, a certain cluster has reached its place. That means it is nearly time. Below him, the monastery sleeps. Stone corridors lie quiet. Wooden doors rest closed. Robes are folded neatly beside straw mattresses. Breathing rises and falls in gentle, uneven rhythms, human and warm against the cool permanence of stone. Elias breathes in deeply. The air smells faintly of candle wax, old parchment, and night wind. Somewhere far below, an owl calls once, then settles again into silence. When the moment feels right, not exact but true, Elias pulls the rope. The bell answers with a low, resonant tone. It rolls outward like a slow wave, spreading across rooftops, over gardens, along dirt paths and stone walls.
The sound does not rush, it does not startle, it simply arrives, as if it has always been there. Another pull. Another bell joins, slightly higher, weaving a gentle harmony through the night air. This is how time moves here, not sharply, not urgently, but in layers of sound and space. Long ago, monks believed bells did more than mark hours. They believed the vibrations chased away restless spirits, calmed troubled minds, and reminded the soul of its place in a greater order. As the bells ring, Elias feels their vibration travel through the rope, into his hands, up his arms, and settle softly in his chest. Below, a few monks stir, not waking fully, just shifting, breathing more deeply, wrapped in the comfort of a familiar sound. Elias pauses again, allowing the echoes to fade completely. Silence returns, thicker now, like a blanket gently pulled higher. He crosses the tower to a small wooden table where a parchment lies open. Faint ink lines sketch the sky, not as it looks to the eye, but as it moves. A simple star chart, marked with patient care. This chart was copied by hand generations ago from another chart and another before that. Knowledge passed quietly, without urgency, from one calm night to the next. Elias runs his finger along a line, confirming what he already feels in his bones. Time flows on. Outside, the wind stirs the leaves of an old oak near the monastery wall. The sound is soft and rhythmic, like breath through fabric. Somewhere, in the town beyond, a dog sighs in its sleep. The stars continue their slow procession, indifferent and kind. Elias leans against the cool stone wall of the tower and allows himself a moment of rest. He does not think of tomorrow. He does not think of yesterday. He simply listens. And as you listen too, you may notice your own breathing growing slower, deeper, matching the unhurried rhythm of bells, stars, and ancient stone. Nothing needs to be done now. Nothing needs to be remembered. You are safe here, in this tower, wrapped in quiet centuries as the night gently keeps watch for you.
The bells have long since grown quiet, but their presence still lingers in the air, like a warmth that remains after a candle is blown out. Elias stands calmly in the tower, feeling that after silence, the kind that feels fuller than sound itself. He adjusts his cloak around his shoulders, the wool heavy and comforting, and sits on a small wooden bench set against the inner wall. The bench creaks softly beneath him, a familiar sound, not disturbing, just alive. From here, he can see the monastery courtyard below. Moonlight pools on the worn stones, tracing pale silver paths between herbs planted in neat rows. Sage, thyme, and lavender release their faint scents into the cool air, believed by medieval monks to calm the mind and steady the spirit before prayer or sleep. A single lantern burns near the well, its flame barely moving, as if it too knows there is no hurry tonight. Elias rests his hands in his lap and lets his breathing slow. In medieval monasteries, the night was not feared. Darkness was not something to escape, but something to enter gently. It was considered a sacred space, quiet enough to hear God, the soul, or simply one's own thoughts. Elias was taught this as a boy when he first learned the bells. Time, his mentor had whispered, is not something we chase, it is something we walk beside. Above him, the stars seem to listen. He looks up again, letting his eyes soften, not focusing on any one point. Medieval star watchers often did this, not staring but receiving the sky, allowing patterns to emerge naturally.
There is a comfort in knowing that these same stars watched over others centuries before. Farmers returning from late harvests, travelers wrapped in cloaks on quiet roads, children tucked into straw beds, listening to the world breathe. Elias feels himself become very small and very peaceful beneath that vast, patient sky. A gentle breeze slips through the tower window, brushing his cheek. It carries the scent of damp earth and distant wood smoke, the soft remnants of evening hearths now settling into embers. Somewhere far away, water moves, perhaps a stream beyond the fields, its steady murmur blending seamlessly with the hush of the night. When the next hour approaches, Elias rises again, unhurried. He checks the stars once more. They have shifted just enough. This time, he rings a smaller bell. Its tone is lighter, almost tender, drifting outward like a lullaby. This bell marks a quieter hour, meant not to wake but to remind. A reminder that the night is passing as it should. The sound travels over rooftops, where tiles cool and contract softly. It slips through shuttered windows, brushing dreams without disturbing them. Elias imagines those dreams, simple ones. A baker dreaming of warm bread. A child dreaming of fireflies in summer fields. A monk dreaming of light filtering through stained glass. The bell fades. Elias coils the rope carefully, just as he was taught. Medieval bell ringers believed respect for tools mattered, that care given returned itself in calm service. Elias extinguishes a small candle near the stairwell, the wick glowing briefly before surrendering to darkness. Now the tower is lit only by moon and stars. Elias descends a few steps and pauses, resting his hand against the cool stone. The walls hold centuries of sound, chants, bells, footsteps, whispered prayers. They do not echo loudly, they remember quietly. He closes his eyes for a moment. And here you may feel yourself sinking a little deeper too. Your body knows how to rest. Your breath knows where to go. Like the stars, you don't need to rush to your next place. Outside, clouds begin to drift slowly across the sky, thin as breath on glass. The stars dim and brighten again, playing gently with shadow. Elias smiles faintly. Change, he knows, does not disturb the night, it only reshapes it. He settles back onto the bench, listening to the wind, to the tower, to the soft pulse of time that does not demand attention. And as the monastery sleeps on, as the bells wait patiently above, the night wraps everything, stone, sky, and listener alike, in its steady, ancient calm.
The night deepens now, not darker, just softer, like velvet settling into its folds. Elias remains in the tower, still as the stone around him, as though he has become part of the monastery itself. Time here does not move in straight lines. It drifts, it circles, it breathes. A faint chill curls through the open window, and Elias pulls his cloak a little tighter. The wool carries warmth gathered over many nights, and it holds that warmth kindly, the way old things often do. Far below, the last embers in the hearths glow faintly, then dim. Medieval homes rarely slept without fire entirely. Even a single coal was thought to guard against cold, illness, and wandering spirits. Elias remembers being told that fire was a promise, that morning would come. He listens. There is a rhythm beneath the silence now, not sound exactly, but a feeling, the slow turning of the earth, the quiet agreement between stars and stone. Elias stands once more, joints moving easily despite the hour. Years of bell ringing have taught his body when to rise, when to rest. The monastery does not need alarms.
Its people are tuned to gentler signals. He walks to the narrow staircase and descends a short way, just enough to peer into the shadowed space below. The steps spiral downward like a shell, each worn shallow by centuries of passing feet. He places his foot carefully, respecting the old stone. Then he stops. There is no need to go farther. Above him, the bells rest. Below him, the monastery dreams. This in-between place is his. He leans against the wall and allows his thoughts to wander, slowly, loosely, like clouds crossing the moon. He thinks of the monks who once charted the sky by candlelight, carefully copying star maps onto parchment made from animal skin. Ink was precious. Mistakes were scraped away gently with knives, leaving faint scars, proof that even knowledge was allowed to be imperfect. Those maps were never meant to control the heavens, only to listen to them. Elias looks up again. The stars have shifted once more, signaling the approach of another hour. This one is deeper into the night, when sleep is at its heaviest, when dreams feel more real than waking life. He pulls the rope again. This bell is slower, lower. Its voice seems to come from the earth itself. The sound spreads outward, not wide this time, but deep, slipping into valleys, pressing softly against hills, curling through forest edges where nocturnal animals pause and listen. An owl turns its head. A fox stills. Even the wind seems to wait. The bell fades. Elias rests his forehead briefly against the stone wall, cool and steady. Medieval bell ringers often did this, believing the tower grounded them, shared its strength, took away excess worry. You might imagine doing the same now, resting your thoughts against something solid, letting weight drain away, allowing yourself to be held by stillness. The clouds continue their slow passage, thinning now, revealing more stars. Elias recognizes a familiar pattern, one used long ago to mark the deepest stretch of night. This is the hour when the world feels suspended, not yet morning, no longer evening, just rest. He does not ring the bell this time. Some hours are meant to pass unnoticed. Instead, Elias sits and listens to his own breathing. In, out, in, out. Each breath a small bell, quietly marking time within. Below, a monk turns in his sleep, murmuring softly before settling again. Dream sounds drift up the stairwell and dissolve. The tower holds them without judgment. Elias's eyelids grow heavy, though he remains awake. He has learned the art of resting without sleeping, a gentle hovering between states. And as he hovers there, you may notice your own thoughts growing softer, edges rounding, details fading. You do not need to follow every word. You can let them pass through you, like starlight through cloud. Outside the tower, the first hint of dawn is still far away. The night knows it has time, and so do you. Wrapped in bells that are quiet now, under stars that move without effort, held by a story that asks nothing of you, you drift and rest and remain.
The night stretches on, calm and unbroken, like a long, steady breath that never rushes to end. Elias remains where he is, suspended between bell and stair, between sky and stone. There is a quiet comfort in this hour. In medieval times, this was known as the Great Silence, a period when no work was done, no voices raised, no questions asked of the world. It was believed that even thoughts should tread lightly now. Elias honors that belief. He closes his eyes, not to sleep, but to listen more deeply. The tower speaks in its own language, wood contracting slightly as it cools, stone holding warmth gathered during the day,
a faint whisper of air moving through narrow slits cut centuries ago by patient hands. He imagines those hands, masons shaping blocks with iron tools, unaware of their names being forgotten, yet certain their work would last. In a way, it has. The tower remembers them. Below, the monastery clock does not tick. There is no ticking here, only time unfolding at its natural pace, guided by the stars, just as it was long before Elias was born. A thin cloud drifts across the moon, dimming its light. Shadows shift across the tower walls, slow and fluid, like water moving over stone. Elias opens his eyes and watches the change without concern. Nothing has gone wrong. Change is part of the night's design. He moves to the window again and rests his arms on the sill. The stone is cool, grounding. From here he can see the edge of the fields beyond the monastery walls. Pale mist has begun to gather there, rising gently from the earth. Medieval folk believed mist was the breath of the land itself, released when the soil finally relaxed after the day's labor. Elias likes that thought. He breathes with it, in and out. The stars above are fewer now, softened by cloud and haze, but those that remain seem brighter for it. Elias finds the one he uses to mark the turning toward morning, not yet dawn, but the promise of it. He smiles faintly. There is still time. He returns to the bells, not to ring them, but simply to stand among them. Their metal surfaces reflect fragments of moonlight, dull and warm. Each bell has its own voice, its own weight, its own memory. Elias places his hand against one and feels the cool bronze beneath his palm. Long ago, bells were thought to have personalities. Some were named. Some were baptized with water and oil as if they were living members of the community. Elias understands why. They have watched generations come and go. They have marked births, deaths, feasts and fasts. They have spoken into joy and sorrow alike. Tonight, they are content to be silent. Elias leans back against the beam behind him and allows his thoughts to drift again, softly, without direction. He remembers his first night in the tower many years ago, how the height had felt dizzying at first, how the silence had seemed too large. But over time, the quiet became a companion. It taught him patience. It taught him listening. It taught him that stillness is not empty. As you listen now, you may notice the same thing. The spaces between words are doing just as much work as the words themselves, perhaps even more. Outside, the wind shifts, brushing the tower gently, like a reassuring hand. Leaves stir, then settle. Somewhere in the distance, water trickles over stone, repeating itself endlessly without growing tired. Elias feels his breathing slow further. He knows the next bell will not be rung for some time. This hour belongs to rest. He sits again, folding his cloak around his legs, and lets his head rest lightly against the wall. The stone supports him completely, asking nothing in return. And you are supported too. The night does not need your attention. The story does not need effort. Sleep will arrive when it's ready. Above the clouds, the stars continue their steady journey, unseen but faithful. Below, the monastery remains wrapped in calm. Elias remains awake, but deeply at ease. And in that ease, you may find yourself drifting,
gently sliding toward rest, carried not by force, but by trust. The bell tower stands, the sky turns, the night holds. The night is at its deepest now, the hour when even the idea of time seems to loosen its grip. Elias senses it not by thought, but by feeling, by the way the air rests more heavily, by the way the world seems to pause between breaths. This is the hour some medieval monks called the hollow of night, not empty, but spacious, a place where worries thin and thoughts float freely before dissolving. Elias remains still, allowing that spaciousness to surround him. The stone beneath him has cooled further, drawing warmth gently from his body. It does so patiently, without urgency, the way old things always do. He adjusts his position slightly, finding an angle where comfort settles easily. Outside the tower, the mist in the fields thickens, spreading like a pale blanket. It moves slowly, respectful of fences, of trees, of the quiet shapes of sleeping land. Elias watches it for a while, eyes half-lidded. He remembers being taught that the night has layers, the early night, full of echoes and movement, the middle night, steady and deep, and then this, the still night, when the world rests so completely that even dreams seem to whisper. He listens for those whispers now. A soft sigh of the tower beams as wood contracts, a distant creak from a gate settling into place, the almost imperceptible sound of his own heartbeat. Each sound arrives, then fades, without needing to be followed. Elias's thoughts drift toward the stars again. He knows that while the sky above appears calm, it is always in motion, vast, ancient motion, beyond human urgency. Medieval scholars found comfort in this, believing the heavens followed a divine order that could be trusted. Elias trusts it. He stands slowly and steps back to the window. The moon has risen higher now, its light softer, diffused by the mist below. The monastery looks as if it floats on a pale sea, its edges blurred, its lines gentle. It is beautiful in a quiet way, the kind of beauty that does not ask to be admired. Elias rests his forearms on the stone sill and exhales. If you're listening now, you might imagine doing the same. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath fall naturally. There is nothing you need to hold up. The stars Elias uses to mark the hours are nearly hidden now, but he does not mind. There are times when the sky leads, and times when you simply follow the feeling of night itself. This is one of those times. He does not ring the bell. Instead, he hums, very softly, almost without sound. A simple tone passed down through generations of bell ringers. It is not a song meant to be heard, but felt. The vibration settles in his chest, calming, grounding. Medieval monks believed humming aligned the breath with the soul. Elias has always found it true. The tower seems to hum with him, a low echo carried through wood and stone. You might feel that hum too, a gentle resonance, not loud, not insistent, just present. Time drifts further. The mist begins to thin at its edges, stirred by the faintest hint of movement in the air. Somewhere far beyond the horizon, the world is beginning to turn toward morning. But here in the tower, night still holds. Elias senses when it is time to ring again, not because the stars say so, but because the quiet has shifted. He takes the rope in his hands. This bell is for the final watch of the night. He pulls once.
The sound is deep and steady, not wide-reaching, meant only to mark the passing of darkness. It rolls outward, touching rooftops, fields, trees, then dissolves gently into the mist. A second pull follows, slower than the first. The bell does not command, it reassures. Below, a few sleepers stir briefly, then sink back into rest, comforted by the familiar tone. Elias releases the rope and lets the echoes fade completely. The silence that follows is soft, almost tender. He stands quietly, hands resting at his sides, and watches the tower fill again with stillness. And as this hour passes, as the night eases towards its end, you may feel yourself slipping closer to sleep, thoughts loosening their hold, body growing heavy and warm. You do not need to follow the rest of the night. It knows how to unfold on its own. The bells will ring when they should. The stars will return when the clouds pass. Morning will arrive gently without being called. For now, there is only rest.
The bell's last vibration fades completely now, dissolving into the stone, into the air, into memory. Elias remains standing for a moment longer, honoring the silence that follows. In the monastery, this pause is as important as the sound itself. Silence, after all, is where rest settles. Elias moves away from the bells and sits again on the wooden bench, this time leaning his head back, eyes closed. His breathing is slow and even, matching the calm pulse of the night. The tower feels different now, lighter somehow, as if the night has exhaled. Outside, the mist continues to thin, revealing the shapes of the fields more clearly. Fences reappear, lines straighten, trees regain their edges. The world is not waking yet, but it is gently remembering itself. Elias does not hurry to mark this change. In medieval monasteries, it was believed that rushing the night offended it, that darkness, like a guest, should be allowed to leave on its own. Elias was taught to wait, to trust. So he waits. He listens to the faint sound of water in the well below, disturbed perhaps by a small animal passing by. The sound is brief, then gone. Stillness returns, unbroken. His thoughts drift, loose and unanchored. He remembers stories told by older bell ringers, tales of nights so quiet they felt endless, of winters when snow muffled every sound, of summers when the bells echoed forever under clear skies. Each story carried the same lesson: the night always holds you if you let it. Elias lets it. If you are listening now, you may notice how easy it is to let go here, how the story asks nothing of you, how your body knows what to do. The tower seems to breathe with him. Stone does this, Elias knows. It absorbs heat, releases it slowly, creating a rhythm older than memory. Even now, warmth from yesterday's sun is leaving the walls, one quiet moment at a time. He presses his palm against the stone again, feeling that slow exchange. You might imagine doing the same, resting your awareness against something steady, allowing yourself to be supported completely. A faint glow appears at the far edge of the sky, not bright, not colorful, just a soft easing of darkness. Elias opens his eyes and looks toward it. This is the hour just before dawn, once called matins, a time of gentle preparation rather than awakening. The bells will soon mark it, but not yet. He stands and stretches slowly, joints moving without strain. There is no stiffness in his body, only the pleasant heaviness of long stillness. He checks the star chart one last time. The familiar patterns have shifted enough now to confirm what he already knows. Morning is on its way, but night still has something to give.
Elias moves carefully down a few steps and opens a small wooden shutter near the stairwell. Cool air flows in, fresh and clean, carrying the scent of damp grass and stone. He breathes it in deeply. Medieval monks believed this air was especially pure, that breathing it cleared the mind and prepared the soul for the day ahead. Elias feels the truth of it settle in his chest. He closes the shutter gently and returns to the bells. This time he prepares for a different sound. The dawn bell is not loud. It is not meant to startle. It is meant to welcome. He waits until the glow in the sky deepens just enough, until the balance between night and day feels even. Then he pulls. The bell sings. Its tone is warm and open, rolling outward like light itself. It touches rooftops now faintly silvered, fields beginning to shimmer, leaves holding droplets of dew. The sound does not chase the night away. It thanks it. Elias rings the bell once more and then lets the rope fall still. Below, the monastery stirs, not abruptly, but gently. Breaths deepen. Someone turns. A door creaks softly as it settles. The day will begin soon, but it will do so slowly. Elias steps back and watches the light grow, inch by inch. The mist dissolves entirely now, lifting like a curtain, revealing the world in calm clarity. He feels a familiar contentment settle over him. Another night kept, another passage marked, another quiet success. He sits once more, but this time with eyes open, allowing the soft morning light to wash over the tower walls. And you may feel yourself drifting deeper still, even as the story approaches its rest. Sleep does not fear morning. Rest does not fear light. You are allowed to remain exactly where you are, held between night and day, between word and silence, between breath and breath. The bells are quiet now. The stars have done their work. The tower stands steady. And you are safe to sleep.
The light grows a little more certain now, but still soft, like a promise spoken quietly. Elias remains seated in the tower, allowing the dawn to arrive without greeting it too loudly. This moment, he knows, is not meant for words. In medieval times, there was a belief that the space between night and day was thin, that thoughts, prayers, and dreams passed more easily through it. Elias does not try to hold on to any of them. He lets them drift, trusting they know where to go. The tower fills with a pale silver-blue glow. It slips across the floorboards, climbs the walls, and rests against the bells without disturbing them. The metal reflects the light dully, content to wait until it is called upon again. Elias feels the night loosen its hold, not abruptly, not sadly, but with the ease of something that has completed its work. Outside, birds begin to stir. One calls softly, then another answers. The sounds are tentative, spaced far apart, as if even the morning is stretching slowly. Elias smiles. He stands and moves through the tower one last time, checking ropes, beams, and steps. Each touch is familiar, practiced, almost ceremonial. Medieval bell ringers believed that care given at the end of a watch ensured peace for the next. He takes his time. When he reaches the staircase, he pauses and looks back once more at the bells. They hang quietly now, full of yesterday's echoes and ready for tomorrow's calls. "Rest," he murmurs, not expecting an answer. Then he descends. Each step downward feels grounding, as though he is returning gently to himself. The tower behind him remains still, holding the quiet he leaves behind. At the base of the stairs, the monastery corridor opens before him.
Light spills in through high windows, illuminating stone worn smooth by centuries of passing lives. The air smells faintly of bread beginning to bake somewhere nearby. Morning is waking, but slowly, kindly. Elias walks through the corridor with unhurried steps. Other monks begin to appear, moving quietly, nodding in greeting without speaking. Words are not yet necessary. Outside, the courtyard glows with dew. Each blade of grass holds a tiny reflection of the sky, as if the stars have come to rest there for a while. Elias steps into the open air and takes a deep breath. The night has fully released him now, but it has left something behind, a calm that will last through the day. If you are listening still, you may notice that same calm settling in you, a softness that doesn't need sleep to disappear, but deepens it. Elias walks toward the refectory, where warm bread and simple broth await. His watch is complete. The bells will ring again tonight. The stars will move again. Time will continue its gentle unfolding. And you do not need to follow it. You can rest here, in the quiet after the story. Let the images fade. Let the sounds dissolve. Let sleep arrive, unannounced and welcome. The bell tower stands. The sky turns. The night remembers you kindly. And now, there is nothing left to do but drift.